This is Kara Esker, and she will be showing us the roles and responsibilities of greeter number 1. Now, greeter number 1, 30 minutes before Mass begins, is responsible for opening just the center doors into the church, both on the interior. Make sure to use the doorstop. And the exterior of the church. Once parishioners start arriving, Kara will stand, or greeter number 1 would stand right in the center of these doors and offer masks and sanitizer as parishioners arrive to her.
Hi, welcome to Epiphany. You can sanitize your hands on the way in. Sir, I see you don't have your mask. Do you have one in your car, or would you like to borrow one of ours?
Thank you, Kara. Now, as the parishioner would enter the church, she is also responsible for sending them to a designated greeter who would be standing at one of the interior doors.
We've got some seats for you on the left over here. If you want to go to Sean, and he'll show you to your pew. Thank you.
Greeter 1's responsibility, now that greeters have seated parishioners, is to close the center doors, interior and exterior, and open the side doors on the left and the right, on both the interior and the exterior. This will allow for people to exit the church following the green arrows after they've received Holy Communion. If the weather is bad, simply leave the doors closed. Now, if the church, the sanctuary, has been filled, you would place one of these signs in the exterior doorway, which instructs people to then use the hall. Before communion and dismissal, greeters 1 and 3 would make sure that any signs blocking the entrances are put back, and that if the left and right exterior doors, the way down there and here, were closed for bad weather, that they would be propped open for communion and dismissal. They would then come in and grab hand sanitizer and make their way into the sanctuary to sanitize for communion and dismissal. Greeters 1 and 3 for the distribution of Holy Communion will take their hand sanitizer and come to the front of the church. After the Eucharistic ministers have descended from the altar and are ready to distribute Holy Communion, the greeter would then sanitize at the end of each row, moving from the front to the back. Greeters 1 and 3 will take the center aisle. One will be on the left side, one on the right, alternating back and forth so that there is only one row going up the center to Father or a Eucharistic minister for Holy Communion. Greeter 1's responsibilities after Mass has concluded will be to get a spray bottle and a cloth and to clean the fountains. You spray the sanitizer on the cloth, wipe the surfaces, and then she would also go down to the men's and women's bathrooms down the hallway. Simply knock before entering and cleaning those bathrooms, regardless of gender, and as long as no one's in there, feel free to clean. And also the family bathroom, which is right down this way. Once surfaces are cleaned, you would come back, put the spray bottle in its carrier, and throw the dirty or used cloth in the bin. Greeter 2 will be responsible for seating people on St. Mary's side of the church. Once Greeter 1 sends parishioners her way, she will escort them all the way down to the farthest most available pew on the left side of the church and invite them to go into the blue marked pews all the way down to the farthest available socially distant space. On this side of the church, there are marked off sections in yellow. Parishioners should not be seated past these yellow lines, as it will then be too close to any singers for Mass who must be 12 feet away from parishioners. These back few pews on this side are marked off in yellow and are reserved for the families of the musicians playing for Mass. As the sanctuary begins to fill, if there is space on the ends of the pews of the center section, greeter 2 may seat people on the ends. Once this whole section is filled, greeter 2 will then make their way over to St. Joseph's side of the church and help greeter 4 seat if necessary. Once the sanctuary is filled, it will then be greeter 2's responsibility to help seat in the hall. Once the St. Mary and St. Joseph sides of the church have filled, greeter 2 and 4 will make their way down to the parish hall to begin greeting down here. Greeter 2 will sanitize and grab masks and come open these doors to greet parishioners. Similar to how greeter 1 was greeting at the entrance to the sanctuary, you will offer masks and offer sanitizer and invite them to move on to the next greeter, which will be greeter 4. Greeter number 2's responsibility for the distribution of Holy Communion and dismissal will be to go to Mary's side of the church and go to the far left side of the pews and distribute Holy Communion to each row before they receive Holy Communion, working from front and to back. After this section of the church has all received and been dismissed, this greeter is allowed to receive Holy Communion, and then they, as well as their Eucharistic minister, would make their way down to the parish hall. For Holy Communion and dismissal in the parish hall, after greeter number 2 has sanitized everybody in St. Mary's section, they will come down to the parish hall and sanitize everybody receiving communion from front to back. The Eucharistic minister will stand at the end of each row, and the greeter will offer sanitizer to each person, inviting them to come on down and make their way to the next row up. And we'll continue doing this until everyone in the parish hall has been sanitized and dismissed. After everyone in the hall has been dismissed, greeter number 2 will return the sanitizer and get wipes and begin cleaning the parish hall. You simply take a wipe and wipe the metal parts of the chair that any parishioner may have touched. After cleaning all of the chairs, this greeter will then rearrange any chairs that have been moved based on family size. As greeter 3 receives parishioners, it will be their responsibility to seat people down the center aisle on both the left and right side. In the farthest pew down the aisle, in the farthest socially distant space down the pew, on both the left and right sides as available. Before communion and dismissal, greeters 1 and 3 would make sure that any signs blocking the entrances are put back, and that if the left and right exterior doors, the way down there and here, were closed for bad weather, that they would be propped open for communion and dismissal. They would then come in and grab hand sanitizer and make their way into the sanctuary to sanitize for communion and dismissal. Greeters 1 and 3 for the distribution of Holy Communion will take their hand sanitizer and come to the front of the church. After the Eucharistic ministers have descended from the altar and are ready to distribute Holy Communion, the greeter would then sanitize at the end of each row, moving from the front to the back. Greeters 1 and 3 will take the center aisle. One will be on the left side, one on the right, alternating back and forth so that there is only one row going up the center to Father or a Eucharistic minister for Holy Communion. Greeters 3 and 4, after Mass has ended and everyone has left the sanctuary, as well as any other greeters who have finished their responsibilities or volunteers who stay to help, can then begin cleaning the sanctuary. Take a rag and a spray bottle from the narthex, spray the rag, and you'll wipe the sides and the tops of each pew, as well as the hymnal holder and the kneeler of each unmarked pew. And then you'll skip ahead to the next blue marked pew to do the tops and the sides and the hymnal holder and kneeler in front. Please remember that if anybody is in the sanctuary praying or needing to receive a sacrament, to remain as quiet and reverent as possible. Once parishioners have been sent to greeter 4, who's waiting at the narthex door, they will escort people over to St. Joseph's side of the church, seating them from front to back and inviting them to please walk and sit themselves all the way at the end of the pew in the most available socially distant space. Again, on this side, if there are empty seats that need to be filled at the end of pews, greeter 4 may seat people there as well. Once greeter 2 has finished seating St. Mary's side, they will come and assist greeter 4 in filling St. Joseph's side. After St. Joseph's side has been filled, both greeters 2 and 4 will make their way down to the parish hall to begin seating down there if necessary. Greeter 4's responsibility, once the sanctuary has filled, is to go down to the hall with greeter 2 and audibly invite parishioners to be seated in their assigned chairs. Feel free to move the chairs if there is a family of 5 or more, as long as all seats remain socially distanced 6 feet apart. Carol will now demonstrate what she would say if there's a parishioner unsure of where to sit.
Hi, welcome. Come on up. I have a seat for you right here.
Greeter number 4's role and responsibility for dismissal and distribution of Holy Communion will be on St. Joseph's side. You will go to the far right side of the sanctuary and dismiss pew by pew, starting from front and to back. You would offer hand sanitizer to each communicant. And after everyone on this side of the church has been dismissed, you may receive Holy Communion and then go back to the narthex and wait to begin cleaning the sanctuary. Greeters 3 and 4, after Mass has ended and everyone has left the sanctuary, as well as any other greeters who have finished their responsibilities or volunteers who stay to help, can then begin cleaning the sanctuary. Take a rag and a spray bottle from the narthex, spray the rag, and you'll wipe the sides and the tops of each pew, as well as the hymnal holder and the kneeler of each unmarked pew. And then you'll skip ahead to the next blue marked pew to do the tops and the sides and the hymnal holder and kneeler in front. Please remember that if anybody is in the sanctuary praying or needing to receive a sacrament, to remain as quiet and reverent as possible. So after Mass has concluded, any one of our greeters could get the monetary collection found in that basket, in this basket, and there is a third basket down in the parish hall if the hall was used. You would take these collections and grab a bag from up on the shelf. Put the monetary collection in the bag. And after all 3 baskets have been emptied into the bag, you tear off the seal, close it, and deposit it into the safe that is located next to the parish office entrance. The code for the safe is 1006. Pull the safe door down, put the bag in, and safely close it. After Mass, any one of our greeters, when they're finished with their roles and responsibilities, can refill the bulletin stands. Simply grab extra bulletins from the cardboard box by the front door and place them in each one of the stands. We have stands on the left and right side of the narthex near the entrances. We have a bulletin stand as parishioners leave if they go out the canopy entrance or exit. And we have a 4th and final bulletin stand down in the parish hall. If it is the 3rd Sunday of the month, any one of our greeters before the 4 p.m. Mass will take the empty baskets and put 3 on this side of the church and 3 on that side of the church to collect our donations for St. Vincent de Paul Society. And then after the 10:30 Mass, the final Mass of the weekend, any one of our greeters or volunteers can then take the baskets filled with donations and put them outside the canopy lot door to be picked up for the St. Vincent de Paul Society.